Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafting with Slavie, where we make cards and other paper crafts. In today's card video, we're going to be making this awesome rainbow card. We're going to be using Fawn's Magic Picture Changer. So I cut down some panels of Bristol smooth cardstock, and I'm just using my pencil to indicate where the windows are for the Magic Picture Changer. And I'm using images from Rain or Shine before and afters to stamp out onto the panel, and also onto my full back sticky notes so that I can cut and make masks. I also stamped these raindrops. They were stamped out in faded jeans, and I thought that I would include a little bit of footage about how I cut out my masks, just in case you're curious. As you know, if you followed me for a while, I'm not the biggest fan of fussy cutting, but for masks, I will make an exception because they are a necessary evil, especially with the Magic Picture Changer, because I do like to ink blend my backgrounds, and masking just kind of comes along with it. So I went ahead and I placed the masks over top of my panels. And I should note, I did make 3 of these cards at the same time. So this is a really great technique for mass producing cards. And then I went and I took out my really rainbow paper pack from Fawn. This is the Petite paper pack. And I picked out a design paper, I guess, that I really enjoyed that would go with my design in my head. And then I prepped my card bases. So these are cut to be 5.5 by 4.25, which is the standard A2 size card. They are cut to be top folding. And then I went back to my card. You did see there that I did stamp it on the back with my logo stamp, which is a custom stamp. So if you are like me and you want to put your own logo on the back, you can definitely do that. For this rainbow panel, I'm using Tumbled Glass Distress ink to blend out my background. And I do like to remove the pencil lines before I get started because I find that they leave, you can't get them off after you've ink blended. So I just like to do that ahead of time. And here I am on the rainy background, I guess. I'm using Stormy Sky. And then for my add-on that's going to sit on top of the actual mechanism, I decided that I was just going to do some ink splatters in rainbow colors. So the colors I used are Candied Apple for my red, Carved Pumpkin for my orange, Mustard Seed for my yellow, Mowed Lawn for my green, Blueprint Sketch for my blue, and Wilted Violet for my purple. And I just love this combination of colors for rainbow order. I will definitely have to be using that more often in the future. And I'm finding myself really into rainbows recently. I don't know if it's just the state of the world or what's going on, but here we are. The nice thing about this card as well is that it has very little coloring, and I was able to kind of stick to just a few Copic colors. Obviously, I wanted my clouds to be dark and stormy here, but for the other panel that I color, it's just rainbow, and I kept it really simple. I only used one color for each of the rainbow stripes, and then I just colored in my sun like I would whenever I'm coloring other images and blending it out and stuff like I did there. And took a lighter approach for these clouds, obviously, because the storm has cleared at this point. So I'm gonna take a step back here and let the coloring finish, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, so with the coloring all done, I am getting ready to die cut these pieces out. And I'm just using a little bit of washi tape to secure the die in place so it doesn't shift on me, especially because I do have that sentiment there at the bottom of the die, so I want to make sure that it does not move. And that just ensures that it's in the same place more or less when I assemble my card. And I realized that I had forgotten to do the arrows when I ink blended earlier, so this is mustard seed that I'm using for those arrows that are going to go into the pull piece. I then treated all of these pieces with my anti-static powder tool to make sure that it is easier for the mechanism to function. I find that this really helps and keeps everything running smoothly. I then scored, well, I didn't score it, the die did, but I creased the edges here, and then I went ahead and I put on 1/8 inch score tape, which is a really strong tape, onto both sides of those little tabs, and that's going to create a bit of a track for the magic iris or magic picture changer, pardon me, to function. So you want to make sure you're using a really nice strong tape. And the nice thing about it being so thin is you can literally just use your thumb to cut it. You don't need scissors. And when I was done with this, I do like to burnish the tape, because otherwise when you peel off the backing, I find that the tape comes along with it sometimes as well. And then you slide in the back piece. You want to make sure you fold this ahead of time as well, because otherwise, yeah, I always forget. So you put in the back piece, and then you take those little notches and you just slip them in to the reveal piece in the back. And I don't know if you can really tell. You can kind of tell from this picture, but there's a really great intro to Magic Picture Changer from Lawn Fawn, so you can always check with that. Okay, so then I added more powder tool while the mechanism was in different positions, and then I went ahead and I removed the backing off of the score tape and just glued it all down. I used my EK Success bone folder tool here to just make sure that I gave it a good crease and that the tape really stuck down, just to make sure that the mechanism wasn't going to get stuck on anything. And then I went ahead and removed the backing off of the remainder of the mechanism, and I stuck everything down. And then when you do this, you want to make sure that you are going to be testing it to make sure everything works properly. And also, because I'm paranoid about the whole thing slipping through, I adhere the pull tab right away to make sure that it doesn't accidentally fall through, and then I have to take the whole thing apart, because that would be super unfortunate. I'm using just a jewel picker to pick up those little arrow pieces. Anytime I have something small like that on my desk, I just use a jewel picker to pick it up and plop it into place. And our mechanism is working really well, but I add more of that anti-static powder tool just for good measure to make sure it works fabulous. And they're so fun, you just gotta play with it. So here's that design paper. I did use the large stitched rectangle stackables to cut these out. And like I mentioned, I did make 3 of these, so I made sure that they were in the same place because my OCD likes it when everything looks the same. And then I went ahead and I attached this piece, the cover plate, if you will. And you have to be very careful with where you add glue or tape. So in this case, I just added it to the corners, like from corner to corner, and then on the bottom and the top. I also like to include some foam tape on the back of this. You certainly don't have to. There's enough height there that the mechanism does function and your recipient should be able to work with the mechanism quite well. But I like to add that height so that it's easier to slip your finger behind there just in case. I then align this kind of in the middle. I'm kind of playing around with it just to see what looks the best. And then I stuck it down. I have been trying really hard to make more simple cards, so this was my attempt. Also, so this part of the recording is really fun because I had never done no line coloring. So I actually used my Lawn Fawn jellyfish ink for the first time here. I stamped out the smile, which is from the Scripty Bubble Sentiments, and I just I colored it in using some yellow markers. I felt like the card really needed more yellow. And then I proceeded to put foam squares on the back and attach it to the bottom of that card sentiment, just to kind of finish off that the full sentiment for the card. I felt like it was missing a little something something, and the smile really completed it for me, so that was pretty exciting. Here we go. So that's the finished card. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed today's card video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!